Okay, we're live now.
Yep, now we are.
That's Hey, all these fathers, I need you guys to show some to you like the father, hey. Father, hey. Alright, so the fathers here telling me they are, holding their own, they're all suited up. Welcome to another edition of dDTalks. This is your girl Diane. It's another Thursday, and we're doing a Father's Day show because we have Father's Day coming up, and I wanted to talk to some young fathers, and they are doing a good job at their fatherhood. We're going to find out. Are they really doing a good job as fathers? So guys, welcome to this edition. If you haven't shared, make sure you go ahead and share this special episode. I have 3 gentlemen in the room, and we are talking about what does it really mean to be a father anyway. So to my right here is a dapper gentleman, okay? This guy throws down the best gigs in town. Mr. Akwo, Esseme, welcome to dDTalks.
Thank you very much.
I'm so glad to have you. And immediate to my left right here, Mr. Nico Kang. Welcome, drove all the way from VA.
Yep.
We're happy to have you in the studio.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
And then we have Chief. He insisted that he's Chief, okay? So Chief Gerald Mofor is with us, straight from work, from VA too, right?
Yeah.
So we're happy to have you in the studio with us today. So before we really go serious, I still want to welcome you all, and I want to make sure that we take this Father A because we're celebrating fathers. So let's take this one notch. Go ahead and share, guys. Welcome. Hey, my fathers. Are you ready? Are you ready for this show? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Guys, this is Didi. So let me go ahead and share. So guys, while we invite you to this episode.
Right here.
Okay, so
Share.
real quick, welcome again. I hope you've been sharing. So listen, guys, let me ask you a quick question. Father's Day is around the corner. But can you all remember the very, very first time you heard the word, you're going to be a father? You're going to be a father. You want to take a shot at it. Like, how did it feel for you? Like, were you excited? Was it planned fatherhood? I mean, like, how was it? Well, how was the experience like?
Is it really ever planned?
Oh, okay, that's a good one. It's never planned, right?
The first one is never planned. I don't think
Okay,
it
the
was.
first one is never planned. Okay.
For me, I would say the reaction that, when she started talking, I knew what was going on. I knew that was coming because the face, I could tell from the face, and I was trying my darndest not to give that reaction like, who is the father, you know?
Wait, you weren't sure?
I was sure. I was just trying to make sure that my reaction doesn't give that perception, right? So so you try as much as possible to be supportive and understand and actually accept it, the news. Even though you're scared out of your mind. I mean, my heart dropped, even though I was waiting for it. I kind of guessed and suspected because I had seen some developments, you know.
Oh, you're seeing the physical signs.
Yeah.
So the physical signs were there.
Yes, I could tell. And you know, so it turned out to be a very good experience because of the surprise and the how do you say, the fear of hearing the news turned it into something where we both shared, because she was also going through, you know, the emotions, and she was scared. She didn't know what my reaction was going to be. So, you know, we kind of met each other halfway, you know, trying to express the emotions of fear, and then we kind of just said, we're ready, we can do this, you know. We did the do, so now we gotta take care of the consequences. So
Okay, so you owned up like a man?
Yeah,
like a
yeah,
man?
yeah.
Chief, you want to throw in your...
Oh, you're my chief name.
Hey.
Yeah, just a disclaimer. Dan actually didn't want to use his name Chief. My name is Meka. My grandfather was Chief Meka, so that's why it goes with the name Chief. She asked me for a title. I don't use titles, so I'm like the only title that goes with Meka is Chief. That's a fatherly thing.
That's a fatherly thing. Okay,
True.
we're talking fathers. We're going to honor
Because
your title.
My dad was my hero, right? And he talked about his father, who was a dad too, Chief Meka, and it kind of rubbed into me when I was trying to have my first kid. It was planned actually.
Oh, yours was a planned,
Very
planned fatherhood. Okay.
I had to take a flight from America to Moscow. I had a girlfriend in Moscow. She was in medical school at the time, and she said, well, she's 24 years, going to 25. According to what she's studying in school, it's easy to have a baby at that time, residency and all that. It was really planned. It's like, hey, can we have the baby now and get it out of the way?
Nice.
So went to Moscow, results came positive, and she was like, okay. I told my aunts, hey, girlfriend is pregnant, what's going to happen next? And I got kicked out of the house. So it was actually something that we planned, and my first son came out was something different. When I think about my cousin Fru had a kid. That was my first time I experienced a young kid. You know, when you grow up, I was born and raised in Cameroon, I always say it in Yaoundé, and you see other kids, parents, it's something distant, but my cousin Fru had a kid, Mati. And the way the guy was holding the baby was just different. I was like, wow, what if the baby falls? The baby looks so fragile, but it kind of inspired me. And when she came here and she had a baby, it was different. I mean, my whole life just changed. My first son was named after my dad. His father days again, Jack. And I was just stuck with this kid, right? No matter whatever values I had before, just changed.
Everything
So it was about this kid has to be successful in life, and then. Yeah, that's my experience.
Wow, let's hear from you. You're not dodging that question, okay?
No, you guys are good. You guys, it's so much pressure. Well, I still remember it clearly. Like, you know, it feels like it was just yesterday. Mine was also planned.
Okay, some decent dads in the house here.
The difference is that when she was pregnant, we had a miscarriage. And so it was a very, very emotional and difficult time. So we were actually planning for the next pregnancy and to be very, very cautious. And so I remember when I got that news that, you know, she was bleeding and she had to go to the hospital. And I went through, you know, through birth. And you know, the child passed.
Wow.
You know, so it was so emotional for me, and I really wanted to be more careful, and I paid attention to a lot of things, you know, and so we're lucky enough to have another pregnancy, and we took all the steps. So from that moment when we conceived, I was very
on
happy.
it.
I was on it from day one. Had to even fly my aunties from Cameroon to come to help us to make sure that nothing happened to this one. So usually whenever I was at work and I hear a phone ring, I'm always very shaky. So it was very wonderful, and baby was born, my son Esseme, and I just did not name him Esseme. I named him twice, Esseme.
Wow.
Because it meant so much to me, you know. It was just so touching.
So what does the name Esseme itself actually mean? Like,
Well,
do you have a
Esseme is
definition?
Esseme is my family name.
Okay.
It's my grandfather's name. And this young man was coming to the world with me being so emotional and being so prepared, and I just wanted this moment to be grand. And when I was thinking of how to name him, I said Esseme. So there was going to be his last name because that's our family name. So I said Esseme.
Aww.
Nice.
That's how I
I mean, this is like an emotional moment, right? Because I want to expand it, if you would permit me. Because, you see, a lot of women go through miscarriages and they think it's a woman's crisis. Most people don't think that it has an effect on the men as well. Like, they just think, okay, you know, I mean, is the woman dealing with it? And sometimes they even get more frustrated with the men, like, you're not understanding enough. Meanwhile, it's actually very sentimental.
Oh, yeah, it is. And because we are not very emotional we are not very emotional like women. We hide it. We keep it inside, and sometimes
Wow.
people don't understand it. But
Wow.
every pain of a pregnancy that a woman goes through, I felt it because
Even after.
Yeah,
Even
I felt,
after.
yeah, it really,
know, I
really.
love-
People don't see it through us.
Wow.
I mean, my daughter was in the NICU. We had to leave the hospital and leave her there at Johns Hopkins. And I would walk around the house feeling okay, but I would go in the bathroom, lock the door, and sit in the tub.
Are you serious?
Nobody knew that, but I would do it because I just didn't want her to see me break down because she was already so emotional.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had to be the strong person, and then
Yeah.
I would go away. And I think one time her mom caught me, because
Yeah.
I was coming out wiping my tears, and she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah. Please don't let her know. Don't let Mary know." So that's the one thing that when you go through, right, it turns you into somebody completely different.
Yeah.
Those experiences really, they turn you into somebody different. So
And
that happens.
and just to add to that, on the day we had the baby shower, the day we were supposed to have a baby shower, I was in class and I got a call that she's been rushed to the hospital again because there was no movement.
Oh
And so
my
she had to
God.
be in the hospital the whole of that day.
ouch.
And I rushed to the hospital, and you come, but you try to be this macho, you try to show this normal face, but deep
But you-
inside,
You're moving with fear and panic.
Panic,
yeah, because a man, one
But you
when
can't let
break-
it show.
You can't let it show when you
You have
break
to put
down
on the
crying.
stand.
Then you just, because women are already emotional, and
Yeah.
so. But
You know, this is something women take for granted so much.
Yeah.
Like we don't think that like the men are that
Emotionally
sentimental.
available
Like even
and
when
all
you
that stuff.
break down the news, like they don't think that the guys really have to deal with like, why are you really concerned? I'm the one carrying the baby anyway. But we don't understand that men are equally emotionally attached, actually have an emotional connection to the baby as well. Especially when you accept it.
Yeah.
When it's
Yeah.
planned and
it's planned, yeah.
when you start expecting it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like some of the things they're saying is really touching me because my first son Jack, he was born. My cousin just called me and said, "Well, I was at work. Well, I think I went out, and he's like, oh, how water break." I was like, "What the hell is that?" So they rushed out to the hospital, and then the doctors came with this smart move of using forceps or whatever it was. When I research about forceps, it's a bad thing, Forceps can actually hamper the child. So when my son Jack was born, everything was fine, and he came home. We're good until my other son Jelani was born. It was the only normal child I had, which was born regular, no problems. Baby's ready. We drive to the hospital. Baby was born, and then a couple of months, he was the strongest of the children I had. Then one day he just died. Right.
Oh wow.
The third one I had, just like you talked about the NICU, Chande, she went out to somewhere in the west there, not California, the one out where Portland, whatever it is. And she came back. Chande was born premature, so we went to the whole NICU thing for 2 months and all that stuff.
Wow.
But he's one of my strongest kids. I don't know if it's the juice they give them. Or
I
whatever.
think something about being a
steroids.
NICU baby,
Yeah,
right?
they
Like
actually juice
they
them up.
pump them
Yep.
up, make sure they're
Yep.
really.
But the last one was my daughter Joanna. It was not planned, it was one of those things you're fighting and then stuff happens. Oh, you're pregnant, and then. But that's the most loving child I have.
Aw.
She actually, it's like they say, there's nothing you can miss in this world and have a daughter. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because all along you had sons.
I had sons, and I went to school, a boarding school, Bali. I mean, it was like macho. You had to be a strong man, have sons, drill them. But she is like my heart right now. I mean,
Wow.
even when we went
That's
out
nice,
for vacation, she's the one that we could go out kayaking and all that. But the guys are like, "Yeah, daddy."
I don't. I really don't want us to dwell, but on the sad moments,
moment.
right? But I know you said you lost the baby, and that's really challenging. Sorry for your loss. I know for you in particular, that really marked. That was a turning point. Other than parenthood, that was really a pivotal moment because it has really marked you. A lot of the things that you do surrounds that. You want to remember that, eternalize that moment.
Yeah, like this is wear your scars with like a badge of honor, right? When my son passed away, culturally, you're not supposed to even mourn for your child. My mother was here, and people came to my house. We drink beer, whatever, but I could not sleep. Everyone's like, "Yeah, don't worry, you get another child. It's something you can always have another child." But I worried so much because that was the most exciting moment in my life. First, I was there when he was born. You know. Secondly, it was exciting. The kid, we came home, he was kicking. But when he passed away, I learned a lot of things. Right. You come home, there's life insurance. Right. The dreams you have for your kid is gone. So all those things just start filling in, and then I even had a tattoo. I didn't think I had a tattoo. I had a tattoo. I researched and all that stuff. So, but it kind of made me strong, and I said there was a purpose of me saying that this guy's name is going to go away, and that's why I have the name Jelani, whatever people think it is. But it's a very touching moment. It actually changed the way we thought. My son Jack, he was actually saying "Daddy." He stopped talking.
Wow.
Yeah. So we went through the whole phase of he gets labeled like a kid who's in the spectrum. So it was a tough ride. So I mean,
So even as a child, he was also dealing with the loss without
he was
even
dealing
knowing.
with the loss, like psychological.
Yeah.
I've seen psychologists and all
Wow.
those things. So
That's a
it's
scary experience.
it's a changing moment in your life. Like when I saw my cousin through and I saw him with his daughter Matthew, I was like, wow, this guy he has a kid. But when mine happened, it was just like everything just changed and changed and changed, even to today. I mean, it's a very touching thing. Just being a parent is tough.
Wow.
And it goes back when I had this fight with Diane today when I was coming out. I was like, she's like, what's your title? Like, I don't do titles, but I said Chief Mukam.
I was like, seriously, like
you don't own a territory, but that's my grandmother called me Chief.
we're gonna talk about your chieftaincy. For an African man, those are big titles.
No, it's not a title.
Guys, if you are just joining, welcome. I want you to do us a favor. Go ahead and share, tag someone, and invite. I'm talking to young gentlemen about fatherhood and what it really means to be a father. I mean, these guys are really dipping deep in their emotional pockets. You know, like
we're gonna be here.
I know, right?
I didn't think we were gonna be here doing this.
It's not a live studio.
I know.
But you know, I'm liking that because it makes them real people. Like, you know, we don't know. A lot of times we take for granted the emotions and feelings that men have. But man, this is a real moment. I thank you guys for really being candid about your feelings and about your sentiment. And this is really what dDTalks is about. You know, bringing out the reality. I want to talk to you guys, gentlemen, about raising daughters and sons. Do you guys have sons or daughters? I mean, you already said you have sons. Is it different raising a daughter from a son? You know, what's your situation?
I've not experienced it yet. Daughters.
You have daughters, so you're a father of girls.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, let me even divert for a second. As a man, you know, most men desire to have a son. So when you're raising, you know, your first child comes out, it's a girl, and then you have another girl. What are you thinking? Like, okay. You know, you have, just like what he said, he has dreams of, you know, you went to this
Anybody want to
school.
help me with that question? So there is this thing about. So I guess it works out well because where I come from, we have matrilineal succession, right? So you don't need to have a son in order to leave your property or your businesses or whatever to them.
Okay.
So in our case in womb, for example, my younger sister's son, Cohen, will be the one
Succeeding you.
Yes.
Oh.
So we I guess we don't have that problem. There's this saying in womb that only the woman knows where the child is from, right?
True.
The father of the child is. So
Can actually attest
exactly
to
why.
the fatherhood.
Yeah, that's exactly
You know.
why. That's exactly why they have it that way. That's what my uncles told me. But you know, I imagine it being, I mean, the same. I mean, my daughter and I, we go shoot hoops. We run. She likes to run. She loves marathon. She likes to play tennis. I play tennis with her. I mean, rough play, horseplay. She does it even worse.
So you do everything. You do everything
She would
with
jump
her.
on the bed, pull me down, wrestle me. So I mean, it's the same thing. It's I don't know. I can't explain because I've not experienced it, but I imagine it's the same thing. So
Okay, so for you guys who have boys and girls, you know, what is it? Is it any different raising a daughter versus a son? You know.
Yeah, it's different. With me, I came from a family of men, 5. There's
No sister.
no sister.
Wow.
So my mom was the closest to the sister and my cousins. So a girl, there's a difference between the boy and the girl typically. my daughter, for example, she's a storyteller. So she's someone that pays attention to detail. She'll tell me everything. She'll notices everything. The guys are just like, hey, what's up, Dad? How are you? So my boys are like me. They don't talk too much. They just go to the point. But my daughter will tell me the whole story and say everything. So you kind of get two different aspects of it. And so sometimes you have this sense that you can be closer to your daughter more than the guys. It's not necessarily true, but it's just that the girls are more expressive, are more talkative. The guys will just, when I come back from work, hi Dad, how are you? How was your day? Fine.
And that's it.
That's it.
For their whole day.
Now my daughter will start telling me, and the way my daughter talks, she goes from one topic to another. She'll be like, oh Dad, so how was your day? Actually, there's something I want to tell you. And then she starts to say, but before I get to that story, so she talks. So I'm there listening and listening. The guys are gone. So it's two different styles.
Do you find it to be different for you?
No, it's interesting. I mean, when I was married and stable, I was not that close to my daughter. I used to talk to her, hi Daddy, then she goes to her room. But interesting when I got divorced, that's an interesting thing. You had to call them, had a connection. So my daughter's like the liaison. She's like the mother now, right? I have to talk to her even when picking them up. Like, Daddy, are you picking us today, or whatever it is. But I think we're very close.
So you develop a better bond with her now.
I developed a very strong bond with her, not just a better one. Even
That's interesting that it was actually a reverse for you, because on the contrary, most fathers like immediately they have those daughters. It's like they develop that bond.
With the separation of territory, I mean, you actually can do what you want to do in your territory, because interestingly, when
going to talk to that.
When she talked about her hair the other day, it was a little contentious. It's like she's gonna cut her hair. I'm like, look, you're young. You know what other young girls do with their hair? She's like, well, she just feel like I'm like, you don't have to cut your hair, because you see, other people are more grown up than you cutting their hair. You know when women go through midlife crisis, they cut their hair. And I don't do that. Do you?
But okay, so that's you defining it for us. So you think they cut their hair because of a midlife crisis?
But I say you're not there yet, right? You're 12 years old. Enjoy your life the way it is. We had to go through this conversation, and then at the end of the day, she capitulated. She was like, "Well, that was a joke, Daddy." Of course, it's not a joke. She was serious. And when I was driving to come here, she just texted me. It's like, "Hey, I need to put money in the account for her to do her hair." I'm like, "Sure, no problem," So it's kind of different. With the daughter, you can come, like what you're saying, they talk a lot, they express themselves. With the guys are all macho. But I hear my sons talking more when they think I'm asleep. Yeah, like when they play like video games, then I leave my, they think I'm sleeping, and I come, I'm like, this is my son, like he sounds like, is it a man talking in my house? Like, what the hell?
So they're having these major conversations.
Yeah, so it's more territorial. They're like, okay, this is not my territory. I'll just turn it down. When he goes away, I'll do my thing. Yeah. So for the girls,
wow, interesting that you guys find that the daughters are more talkative. So, but do you miss the fact that you're not able to pull the conversations out of your boys sometimes, or do you just understand that boys are going to be boys?
Well, in my own case, I have two boys. The second boy is easy to pull a conversation, but the first one is actually like me. You don't pull a conversation.
So you recognize yourself in him.
Yeah, I see myself in him. It was just the same way. So it doesn't really bother me. We do converse. We do have conversations. We don't have a lot of conversations, but we do have conversations.
But just like you're saying, I was talking about the Meka thing. My dad was telling me a story one day. It's like he never saw his dad's hair, like the chief. He doesn't take his cap away, so he doesn't know if dad was bald or not. So my sons, I think they reflect me in some way. Quiet, they're very calculative, but they don't talk, which is okay. We respect each other and we just stay apart. But it's not a problem. I think it's not a problem.
Awesome. So guys, I know some of you, maybe you understand the statement. I want to ask you a generic question, which is really about child support, which is a big thing in this community, right? I mean, in other parts of the world, continents, if a dad is absent, they go scot-free. Like, you just pray that someday they will show up and take on their responsibility. So here's a quote that someone sent to me, right? Child support is for absent fathers, not failed relationships. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that it should be whether or not, because some people take it because their relationship is bad and now they want to escalate the child support? Or some people think, or do you think child support should just be standard? You're a father, if you guys are not like in a home together, then your responsibility to step up. What are your thoughts about child support anyway? Because
let me attempt it this way. Let me try to answer it by saying this. I personally see child support as a way to maybe punish the absent father, because for you to be told by a court to take care of your child or your progeny, it's really I don't know. You should want to be there. You should want to be there. You should want to be able to provide. You should want to be, because that's what the role of the dad is, right? You should want to be there. You should want to be the one to be there and take him to the ball games.
You should,
but if
but
you
they're
don't
not.
do that, are you really qualified as a dad? Maybe that's where we should start the conversation. Like, give up the title as dad. Like, sign it away so somebody else can be dad. You know, and that's why we have so many young men and women running around, you know, who have missed out that part of their life, you know. And I'm not trying to say this to call out any people, but I applaud anybody who realizes that their relationship is not working with their partner and they split, even if they have children, because there are also benefits to that, rather than the kids.
So it's better to be in a healthier environment than to be in a toxic environment. It's not good for the mental state of the children.
But when you do split, you do have responsibilities you still have to keep, because when that child was born, they didn't ask to come. You know, you still have those responsibilities to keep, and I believe that when you split and you walk away because you're so upset at your partner or something, that just speaks to your inability or disqualification from being a dad. That's just how I see it. I mean, I would always say this, you know, nobody forced you to be a dad. Nobody should have to force you to pay to take care of your child.
Makes sense.
And I don't even think we should refer to those people as dad. They are fathers. I do think there's a difference.
Okay, so there's a difference between father and dad.
dad.
Per the dads, there's a difference between father and dad. So the difference of father is the person who just
It's a biological.
you impregnated, inseminated the seed.
Yeah.
So-
And
So what I'll say is, I mean, when you're married, right, your hypothesis works great. Everybody has good intentions, right?
Yeah.
When people go apart, it can be for different reasons. There's emotions that fly on the door. If you look at people like Puff Daddy, he says, "I'll take care of my children." And it's okay, but in most cases, people become very vindictive in their approach, right? When you pay child support $4,000,
That's
it's a tough call, right? If you're just supporting the child, I mean, people procreate because they want to have a child that you see them grow.
Right.
Even till today, my dad still looks at me and thinks he has to make some corrections, right? So it's not like, yeah, it's true. At 40 something is like, okay, Muka, you need. I'm like, dude, almost 80.
like I'm my own father,
You're
you
saying
know.
you're trying to make sure your gene survives. So I don't think anybody is actually waiting to say that their child should suffer. But the court system is great in America because the child support thing actually helps you to moderate or to make it fair, because you don't want to leave a woman, for instance, my kids they live with their mother, she pays rent somewhere, right? So just think about how much does it cost for rent. Okay, you give some money so they can help for rent, just like you have a friend who's suffering, you can give them money. But it doesn't mean that when my kids come home, I should not take them out shopping and all that stuff. It's the same thing when as a matter of fact, they know they have an extravaganza. They'll come home next week and they will shop and do all that stuff.
Okay, you guys are speaking from the standpoint of responsible men.
I guess.
But I know for a fact that you guys have friends or you know people in the communities that are not owning up to their responsibilities, that actually know that, you know, you fathered a child and either you're not owning up or they get upset when you're being given that child support. You know, so how do you think, what is your message to those absentee fathers anyway?
To me, no amount of money can ever equal the time or the love that you can give to a child.
There you go.
If you're not there to wake that child up from bed, make sure that they get ready for school, make sure that they do well in school, or make sure that their rooms, their chores are done. Those daily things that you do for a child, there's no money that can replace that. So child support, some people do it because they've been vindictive, but for those fathers who are absent, maybe that
then the system.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is, I personally, when you go for child support, they ask the two of you, what do you think? It's an arrangement between the two of you, or if not, so they open the books and then they go the numbers.
Go through the numbers.
Yeah. So
I would just say this. I saw in the news a couple of days ago a gentleman who's fathered, I think, 30 kids.
yeah.
And he was on minimum wage.
Yeah, minimum wage.
And he was petitioning the courts to help out because he was paying $1 each for each of the women, because he's minimum
$1
wage.
each.
Yeah, some women were getting $1.20 out of his paycheck. And I don't know how that ended because it was in the news. But when you see situations,
How do you raise a child with $1?
so when you see situations like that, you wonder if this gentleman was actually on some sort of competition or reality show or something. I don't know. But coming back, I just thought I'd put that out there. But coming back to this issue of child support, right? I have friends whom I've asked, like, hey, but why don't you take the father to court and force him to pay? And one of the best answers I had was, she basically just told me, like, look, when we laid down, it was just him and I, right? He got me pregnant, we had the child, he pretended he was happy with the child, and when he felt like it wasn't working out, he left. So I'm not going to force him to look after his child.
Right.
I'm going to do what I have to do for my child and raise my child. I can be both mom and dad at the same time.
But I want to take. I like the fact that you say that most women decide today to.
yeah.
People can bring a child to the world by yourself. So they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna get pregnant, and I can take care of the child by myself. But then there comes a point where sometimes they run into a crisis, and they will still appreciate that help. Sometimes some men feel like they were set up. Like, you said you didn't want it, and then you want it. So I want you guys to feel like, do you know anybody who feels like they were set up by this chick? Maybe the position, the woman's transition is, stage the pregnancy,
You really want us to call
or
names.
some,
You really want us to call names.
or in some cases, they use the child to lock
to
down
get-
the relationship.
Yeah.
What are your takes about that when you feel like you're trapped in this relationship? We are trapped in this relationship because of the woman. Do you feel obliged to remain in that relationship because the woman has told you? Maybe you just told her, I'm about to end this thing, it's not working out, and now she pulls out the card like, I'm pregnant. Do you feel obligated to stay in that relationship at that point? Or as a father, do you feel like you have the honors of walking?
So maybe it's different for the men who have, where my daughter goes, I go. Where my daughter goes, I go. I would take anything from anybody, insults, whatever, treatment, whatever. I would take it as long as I can. I still have the opportunity to see my daughter when I come back from work. I still have the opportunity to kiss her goodnight, or read her a story, or take her out on our Monday night dates or something, right? As long as I still have that opportunity, I am okay. So I would not say, when it comes to your child, I don't really think as a father the mother factors in too much, because it's the relationship between you and your child, right? You kind of lean on the mom only when they're. I know. Maybe I said it in a coarse manner.
No,
Maybe my language is
but
coarse.
it makes sense. It makes sense.
So
The two entities are separate.
there you go. So my relationship with my daughters is different from theirs with their moms, right? And Jay, for example, she has this relationship with her mom that I envy. I watch them play and laugh and do all these things, but then when she comes over to me, her mom is actually envious. Like, she does the same thing to me that she does her mom. So I think that when a child is in a happy environment where they are happy that they have both parents around, it's a lot different, right? And the feeling is good. I don't know that it really matters who the partner is or how you interact with the child, because personally my relationship with my daughter, although it depends to some extent on her relationship with her mom, I think it's mostly about me and her.
Okay. He's taking a good clean angle there.
So what I think about the whole child support thing is, I don't know about the guy who just probably had a child by mistake or whatever it is. It's a different situation. I can only attest to that. They might be mad. They might be using them for a lockdown process. But what I would say is, when you have a child, like I do have kids, the first thing I want to say is, can they copy some of my habits? Right? Meaning that if they can go out there and they're audacious, they can take control of themselves in situations that are dangerous and make the best out of it. That's exactly what I want them to do. So I want them around me to learn that habit. When we went to Bahamas, my kids were they could pick it up. I've never told my kids about the situation about color, transition and all that. No. But when they went to the Bahamas, they were like, Daddy, why are they treating us differently? Right? Learn for yourself. And they will go through an explanation, right? So I want them to learn certain habits, even business. I learned a lot of working habits I have today is because my dad, right? I used to see him wake up at night, go to the library, he's there. I'm like, he studies more than we do.
Wow.
So what is he doing about it?
So your role is important.
It's important.
It's the visibility. Your children have to see those habits.
What you see is what you get.
Exactly.
So if you're absent, the kid doesn't even know who the dad is.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day,
so there's benefit to have, for the child to see both parents, whether they're living in the same space or not.
Yeah, because nothing scares me more than just the imagination of that. Oh, my child may be seeing another man.
You got to my next question. You got to my next question, but we're gonna take a quick break. But before we take that break, I want you to share, tag, and invite someone. Let them know we are live. We're talking to dads about what it really means to be a father, and then we're gonna come back and talk about what if there's another man in your child's life, like the woman you're separated with now has another man. How do you then handle that situation, especially if you're absent or even if you're present? Do you get envious of that situation? So guys, go ahead and tag and invite someone, and if you want to dial into the studio, go ahead and call us live. We are live with the brothers, with the gentlemen, with the fathers, the dads. They're not fathers, they're daddies, these ones. Right here. And the number to call us. Okay, we have a call. But before, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll take the call while we're taking a break. Or what do we do? Go ahead, take the call because we're going to lose it. Take the call. Take the call. One second. Yeah, dDTalks?
When's the last time someone said thanks for checking over your shoulder before changing lanes? Or gave you a pat on the back for sticking to the speed limit? Or a thumbs up for not tailgating? Probably never. Which is too bad, considering safe drivers make the roads safer for everyone. That's why Allstate appreciates safe drivers like no one else. And they show it by saving you 45% or more, along with giving you safe driving bonus checks, deductible rewards, and extra discounts with the DriveWise app. So the next time you come to a complete stop in an intersection, ask yourself, why haven't I switched to Allstate?
The Brandeo Insurance Group, your local DMV Allstate agent, can help you save 45% or more for driving safely. Call him at 410-424-0844 and get a quote today.
It pays to drive safely. Call a local Allstate agent today and find out how you can save 45% or more. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability.
Do you like to travel? Do you like to make money? Well, here's a way you can do both. Vacation Travel allows you the luxury of doing just that. If you want access to unpublished fares, reduced rates for travel agents, access to worldwide selection for family, group cruises, and all types of destination travel, then contact www.kingscourt.vacation.com or call 240-393-7962. That's 240-393-7962. You deserve to travel like royalty. See you on your next vacation.
Hey guys, welcome back from the little break that we had. Listen, we had another addition while we took a little break. Mr. Bless just joined us. He was caught up, but he's here, and we're happy to have him. Welcome to the show. We're talking to the young dads, about their role as being fathers, their experiences, what it really means to be a father, and where we were talking about what it means if how do you handle a situation where your child, son or daughter, is being raised by another man. How do you handle that situation? So, by the way, welcome, Blaise.
Thank you.
All right. So you just join in, okay? Just join the brothers as we go ahead and handle this situation. So, guys, what are your thoughts on that? Let's say you're separated with a woman, or someone who's dealing with a separation, and now everybody moves on. That's part of separation, right? You eventually move on, and now you have separate lives. A woman comes into your life, and a man comes into her life, and so your children are being exposed to these other individuals. How do you guys handle that situation? Any thoughts?
Well, to me, I think that when you have your children, you instill values into your children, and those values that you've instilled to your children stays. It doesn't really matter to me who the other. By the way, nobody's going to raise unless I'm not living. As long as I'm living, I'm going to be. As long as
nobody's going to raise your children,
no,
okay?
As long as I'm living, I'm going to raise my children. As long as I'm living. You understand? So, you have a family, they maintain that same family structure. Yes, they'll have a different family because of their mother, but the family name stands, and it has to be firm, it has to be consistent, unless you're not there. Mm-hmm. If you're not there, that's different, but as long as you're there and you're willing to take care of your children.
No, but I'm talking about a scenario where now they've moved on, and there's this gentleman in their lives, and in one scenario, maybe sometimes they're even really great dads to your children.
Like the Bill Clinton thing. It's true. There are two American presidents, like Bill Clinton, Gerald, their fathers, they changed their names.
Yeah,
they changed their names for their fathers.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's not a biological father's
So
name.
not their biological, but now you have this stepdad who is coming in, and they're actually really, is a good man. Mm-hmm. Does that really bother you? Is it unsettling for you to know that there's another man that's actually better than you in some other areas?
I don't think that if you even have that feeling that somebody is better than you understand? I don't care if the person is a millionaire or if he has, it doesn't matter. The what matters is the values that you instill into your children. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be a certain way. You just have to believe in certain principles the way you bring your children. That is your own, that is your way. You see, there are rich people, there are tall people, there are short people, but you have to be who you are, and you should be comfortable in your skin. I'm the most confident guy, so I believe that.
All right, now.
Yeah, different.
Yes,
that's good.
I believe that the Esseme family children, nobody. I'm their dad, so yes, there can be some great guy in different, but I am the dad. And it doesn't change.
And no one can take that away from you.
Nobody can take that. And I don't even think that whoever comes into the other person's life will want to do that.
Yeah, when you're very present,
The truth is, I'm not gonna lie. The scariest thing for me is to think about my kids being raised by another man. Okay, nothing makes me more sad on earth than this. Just thinking that, my children are being raised by someone else, it's crazy. I don't know how that would happen to start with, and I would definitely shrink or lose weight because of that.
You're gonna lose weight.
Serious. I'm very serious because it just makes me like you don't know. I mean, the thing is, you don't know what they're teaching them on the other side, right? Mm-hmm. Like his situation, I really applaud you. Like I don't know if she's moved on with someone else, but where you have like a week with the kids and then another week with that, she's with,
you can't really control that though.
Exactly,
you can't control
because
that
the court
situation.
mandate that, or it's an agreement that you have to make sure you co-parent.
I've seen scenarios where people try to control who is in your life, where you're trying to.
And it makes it a problem.
That's part of the penalties of separation. If you choose to walk away, you really cannot get nitty-gritty about who is in the other person's life.
No, but you're talking about racing. You know, That's not
I mean, if you're
But the thing
absent,
is,
if you're no longer in
if
their
you're
life, and
absent, if you're absent,
if you're
that's
dating
different.
somebody and they have children, it's part
It's
of
part
their
of their-
is the
the
part
package.
is the
It's part of
package.
it, but what
But
I'm
imagine
saying
a
is that,
scenario where you have 1 week with your kids and then another week
yes,
the kids are with your ex
Yeah.
and with the other man.
oh, yeah.
So you are raising them part-time. They're also raising them part-time.
Yeah, but I don't think the values. It depends on how old the children are.
Well, yeah.
No, but the thing is-
the thing
It
is, there's
depends how
still
old
things
the
that they will
children-
pick up,
I
right?
know you're particular about. Nobody's removing the element of you being their dad. We're just saying there's another man in the picture, and
But that's just a fact. You understand? That's just a fact.
I love it. I love his optimism. I really love his optimism.
It's like, I'm
That's
not
scary.
even- like,
I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna
even
lie.
getting-
That's just
what-
a fact.
do
It's
you
the
have
best thing
do you
for
have
me.
an opinion
And I-
about
and I
that?
applaud anybody who does
Let's
that.
hear from Bless.
let's-
Let's-
yeah, oh.
It doesn't change
He-
anything to me,
I'm just-
honestly.
To be honest, it's very challenging for both parents,
Mm-hmm.
and even the new guy seeing another
Child.
person's child is challenging for them too. But I think the main role of both parents has to be employed here, and you as a dad, no matter what, let's assume that you guys have that scenario where this week you're taking turns. You still have to do the best you can as a dad for your kids. So whatever the time that the kids are with you,
Yeah.
they will listen to you more. And when they are with mom, of course, you have to also let them respect mom and moms and their stepfathers.
Yeah.
So we have to make sure we do our fatherly role. Because that doesn't give us any excuse to say,
To-
you know what,
to
please
just slack
prepare,
off.
and then let me stay away from my responsibilities.
Yeah, some people
Yeah.
get upset about the choice
So then,
of the choice.
I like the gentleman on the panel, right?
Nobody's experienced it. You talk.
When you talk about hypothetical things,
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking.
Yes.
Like when you tell someone, "Oh, I'm divorced," like, sorry about that. It doesn't make sense to most people, even me. When my friend told me he was separated, like, oh, okay, well. But you know what? I lost a sister when she was 14.
Okay.
It was painful. I lost a son. It was painful. But divorce is painful. You don't know how much it takes on you. So when you talk about things like the child with somebody else, imagine like you talk about your daughter, right? And some other guy is calling your daughter who's not even a mature kid and giving her instructions. The kid is just a kid. They're going to listen to what that person is saying.
Is an adult.
Yeah, it's an adult, right? It's just a friend. They can call him Uncle Joe. Like most Africans even claim that whoever they're dating is an uncle, right? I have a friend. He actually pulled a gun out, right? Because the guy was taking the kid to the barber shop. That's a man's responsibility. Take my son, cut his hair. So when we talk about hypothetically, it's okay, right? But in reality,
What line is it? Is it showing the line?
the best advice I'll
Okay.
give you is
Rebooting.
you have to learn to work things out. You have to make peace with the other person, because when there's that anger, it doesn't work that way. They're always taunting you because, like he
I
said,
know
right?
there's so many guys. There's so many comments coming through. I'm telling you, like it's so hidden.
What I'm saying, right, is the worst thing you can do to a man. But if you,
Take the call.
This person.
Just okay. Caller, you're live. This is dDTalks. No, we didn't get a call. Okay, we lost the call. There was a caller coming in. If you're watching us and you want to call, please call back again and we'll take your call. So we're looking. I'm just line 2,
9-2, okay.
1. Yes. Caller, you're live. This is Diane. dDTalks.
Is it lit?
Speaker. Yes.
No, it's not coming up.
It's not coming in.
You want to move the phone down so you can have it.
yeah,
They're not
yeah,
lights.
but-
Go ahead.
But
We
what
keep
I'm
missing the
saying
calls.
is, hypothetically, that's how it should work. But I think the best thing to do is you should make peace with the other person. Now, if you've met somebody, as a matter of fact, you had a child with that person, you should really talk to them and get their mind and say, hey, you know what?
Line 1.
Line 1. Go ahead. Pick line 1.
For the best interest of the kid,
Line 1.
I might not like you, but the best interest of the
Just
kid.
pick up the handset. Pick up the handset.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Put on
Put
speaker
on
now.
speaker. Caller, you're live. This is dDTalks.
Volume. Check the volume. Speaker volume. Check the speaker volume. Just take
Hold
the
on.
question.
Hold on, sir. We're just.
Microphone. We wouldn't be able to hear it though.
Can you speak up? Go ahead. You said this is Dr. Nicholas Santos, but the audience can hear you. We can't really hear.
Maybe after a break we can fix it.
Right.
But this is,
Hold on.
this is
He
pretty-
says to hold on.
1 second,
Somebody's
okay?
gonna come in and
1 second. What? Put the call on hold. Well, we're waiting. We apologize. We're having technical issues with the line, guys. We have a caller. Yeah, we're having technical issues with the line. We're just waiting for. Yes, go ahead.
Why is it not tripping? Is it plugged up?
I mean, we can. When you
can
pick
hear
it up,
it
you can
ring.
hear.
there you go. Okay, just answer speaker.
Okay, so unfortunately for us, we cannot hear the caller. We're having technical issues in the studio. But guys, continue. Sorry, there's so many comments coming through the feed. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see so many good comments though. And I'm being questioned to read all the comments. Okay, child support is something. Okay, we did child support. Guys, just give us a second. Gentlemen, continue to give us your feedback.
You listen to a guy like Dwayne Johnson, right?
Right.
One of the greatest period actors. Now, he actually says his ex-wife is his manager.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn to work things out. I mean, the system will come in and try to make sure that they'll make sure you guys are civil. But if it has to, if you really think you love that kid, you have to make that separation of duty. If you don't like the boyfriend, like, look, this is my child. You know, there's no limits. I don't want to know what you guys are doing over there, but I want to be in control of what I do here. It makes sense. But if you're just angry and you throw tantrums, it's not going to help. But it's a very emotional thing. Like he said, it's like it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, it can be traumatizing. I think it's traumatizing for all parties involved. Like, just like how we underestimated the feelings that men do have, I think it's even worse for the kids, because the kids are now being introduced to, they're dealing with the fact sometimes the kids tend to feel like they are guilty, like it's their fault that their parents are separated. So now when you have a situation where they're separated and then they have all these new people that they have to deal with, they're still dealing with the fact that dad and mom are not together, and then now dad has somebody new, some new auntie, some new uncle, and the picture is just too much.
That's right.
Sometimes for the kids. And so some couples actually agree to say, okay, we can have our lives, but we're not going to introduce our dates to our children. Like, they will just date
So it gets serious.
when you're not when your kids are not around.
Oh wow.
You know, some people do that. I mean, I dated one guy where, you know, he had a kid and he didn't want me to be around. But after a while, it was not realistic. It can't work, because that is not a true relationship. Your kids are part of you. So if you keep cutting off that part of your life, then it doesn't make sense.
Again, but as I'll go back to my previous comment.
He's very
I love his optimism. Okay, there's a call.
I'll go back to my previous comment, which is that
just press line one.
speaker.
Yeah, and speaker.
you are the
Caller,
dad.
your
Just press speaker. Just
press
press speaker. Don't
speaker.
speak. Yeah.
Caller, you're live. This is dDTalks.
Something is wrong with it.
Okay, I think something is technically wrong with the phone, unfortunately for us. Caller, we do apologize. You're on the show live with dDTalks, and I have 4 gentlemen with me here. Dads, fathers, we're celebrating Father's Day, and the men came to talk about their roles as dads and fathers, and, you know, just their viewpoints about what it means to be a father. And I really want to talk about, let's talk about what it really means to be a father in America today. Do you think it's different from parenthood? Because most of us are from the diaspora, like, you know, we're immigrant to this society. So is it any different? Do you find that your roles today are different from what your parents are experiencing, or even your peers in other continents today, like your friends in Europe, in Africa? Do you think their roles are slightly different from your roles here?
It's a
Much
huge
different.
difference. A big, huge difference. First of all, I mean, in Africa, it's really more easy to raise a kid there, especially.
Really?
Yeah, compared to over here. There's so many challenges over here. Even let's say a guy, even if you have just a job, forget about most people who have businesses. If you have just a job, you're thinking on how you can be with your kid, go to work, stuff like that. It's tough. You don't know if your wife is actually at work or your wife is going to be at work at a certain time, you guys are contemplating a way to keep the kid. And the only option now is you have to spend money. Maybe take the child to a daycare or a babysitter or employ someone to be in that child's life over here. So we see that a lot happening with most of us in the diaspora.
So in other words, it's hard to have a stay-at-home parent while maybe only one parent supporting financially.
It's very
So because of financial demands, it may be difficult to have, financial parent. Easier to have both parents in the house, right? Any other viewpoints?
Well, I'll say something interesting. When I had kids in America, at that time I was hustling. My dad came and visited, and I was in security. I had to go to work, like he said, do multiple shifts. I actually saw my dad give my kids a shower. My dad has never given me a shower.
He never gave you a shower.
He could pay people to do that for me, but
right.
he was very passionate. I mean, you could see that if he had the chance to do it, he could have done it back then, right? Because he was busy, he had access to money, so he could pay people to do that. But my kids came home, he made chores, gave them a bath, took them out to the playground.
Wow.
I saw a different person,
You were like, this is not the dad I grew up with.
It wasn't that it was bad, but it was just that I could tell that he didn't have the time. But on the contrary, there are a lot of things that he did for us that I could not do for my kids. Like, I still remember the rhymes we learned in school. Like, he'd come and read a book, try to do the education thing. He was an educated man, so he prided himself. But I could not do that for my kids at some point because I was busy. I was out there hustling. But I think raising kids here and over there, the bottom line is financial stability. Right. Like he's just saying, if the wife is, like most people who have money, the wife is stable,
Stay at home.
the guy makes money, one person sacrifice, because the money you pay for daycare and all the bouncing around, it's like you make $35,000, $40,000 a year. Why can't you just stay at home, take care of the kids, and they'll write this thing off taxes? Right. So there's a balance of that. There's a calculated balance. But if you guys are hustling, it's gonna be tough.
Right.
And just like you can remember when the first time my kids went to Kenya, remember you gave me a ride and you told me about getting into the IT field and get a job that could sustain your living standards. It changed the whole dynamics, right? You can send your kids to the best schools, I had a son like my first son Jack, after the birth by the forceps, he was labeled and all that stuff, but I had access to certain institutions because of money to make sure that he's 17 now. He's good. I mean,
right.
But you go to a situation where you have to go through the whole thing of Alzheimer's.
Like, had money not been there, he may have stayed trapped in the system.
It brings a lot of problems.
Right.
So I think the Africa thing here is all about money. Even in resources, even in Cameroon, raising Douala, Yaoundé, or the kid who grows from Bamenda, it's different.
I want to also contrast a little bit about the bond that parents have with their children. Do you think those in Africa have better bonds with their children than parents here? I think that because parents, dads are more hands-on here than back home, because back home you're just a provider. You just give the money, do everything.
Same thing.
Same thing.
In Cameroon, for instance, like in a city like Yaoundé, Douala, right?
It really is the same thing.
I have a language of operation with my dad. I speak English with my dad, right? But I see my friend who, struggled with mom. They went and carried water together. They have a connection, right? But mother is just like a madam. She can hey, we want to cook. You just do exactly what. There's no bond. Right. So it's about bonding with the kids. So if there's an opportunity, that's what most people take time out to go for vacation with their kids. You bond with the kids. If you don't do that, it doesn't matter. I think it's all about taking time off to spend some time with your kids. Being in Africa, wearing Cameroon, like if my dad, I could only tell when he was here that he could actually wash a child. You're just like, hey, Joe, do this.
So we're almost coming at the top of the hour. Unfortunately, it's like the hour is almost over. Oh, wow. But just I know it went by real fast. But real quick, what are the perks of being a dad, and any message to other dads? Your poignant message to other dads who perhaps are missing out on this opportunity. What is your message to them? First of all, any joys, any perks of being a dad? As we wrap up.
I love coming home to her.
You okay?
I just love it. The smile, the scream, Daddy! Nothing beats
makes
that.
Your day.
Nothing beats that. I can be at work all day, go through whatever, 12 hours, servers breaking everywhere, all these things, nothing working right. Once I pull up and I hear the footsteps down the steps, as I open the door, Daddy! That's
predictable.
The best feeling ever.
Enjoy
that is girl.
Enjoy while it lasts.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I know.
Young,
I'm just waiting for when it will stop. But that's the best thing ever.
They are amazing. Kids are amazing. They are the love of every parent's life. They are the reasons why we go out and hustle. And they give you that
sense of
energy.
purpose.
Yeah, you'll be like, okay, why do I need to do more for myself? You have somebody that you need to take care of.
Right.
So most people out there, it's good to be a parent. I mean, have kids, so that way, even if you have no reason to do better for your life, at least that child will make you work harder.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it is.
That's a
Makes
very
you
good
grow up
lesson.
fast.
Your world just expands.
Makes
Your
you
world
grow up
It makes you
expands.
more responsible.
Yeah.
You have
I think-
any closing remarks?
I just think that the greatest title that I have is being a dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's just sweet. I mean, for kids, if you're watching your daddy, give him a pat on the shoulder today, okay? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's more to that. It's more like survival, right? The reason we procreate is to have a genes passed on to the next generation. There's nothing as sweet as lying in the bed and you're dying and you see that whatever job you're doing is going to be continued because you see the spirit. The worst thing, like I remember friends who didn't used to do well in school, their parents come to school, they're angry because you're failing this dad. But even when I talk to my dad, the name he gave me, which is his dad's name, Meka, he's like, you like a reincarnation of my father, right? So you have to continue that. You have to make sure that there's continuity because we're going to expire one day. So the greatest thing of being a dad is you can set the tone, you can set the parameters,
Set your legacy.
Set your legacy and say, you know what? If I'm not here tomorrow, maybe Jack, maybe Chandler, maybe Joanna will actually make sure that they get this thing going. Just like you.
So you're not working in vain.
It's not in vain. It's about survival.
Guys, yes, guys, we want to thank you so much for the opportunity. We went right up above the hour. Thank you so much for watching. I wish we could have the dads here longer. I mean, we had so much content, but they poured out their hearts, their sincere hearts. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming, dads.
Oh, it was a pleasure
And I
having
want
us.
to
Thank
wish you guys a fantastic Father's Day weekend. Hope these kids that you're also proud of, give you guys a treat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Looking forward
So,
to it.
guys, sorry we were not able to read the comments today, but we will go back and all the dads are going to find ways to respond to your comments, and we're going to do that live. So, guys, I always like to sign off by saying, if no one has told you that they love you, guess who loves you? It's your girl Diana, and I love you passionately with the love of God. All right. So that's our closing remark. Make sure you go out there and share, and that's our fathers. This father's the one who gets.